Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Daily.
Hi everyone, we are very happy to see you here today.
Have you ever learned a word in English, used it all the time, and then noticed that native speakers keep saying something different? That happens more often than people think. Today we're going to look at one of those everyday expressions that can make your English sound much more natural. Before we jump in, make sure you subscribe to Speak English Daily so you never miss a new conversation. We love helping you build confidence one phrase at a time.
That reminds me of a friend who's learning English. He used the word sometimes in almost every sentence. One day he asked me, "Do native speakers always say sometimes?" I smiled and said, "Not really."
That's a great question because sometimes is correct. There's nothing wrong with it, but native speakers often replace it with once in a while when they're chatting with friends, family, or coworkers.
It feels more relaxed. If someone asks, "Do you eat pizza?" I might say, "Yeah, once in a while." I probably won't stop and think about the words. That's just what comes out naturally.
And notice something important. You didn't choose a complicated expression. You chose one that people hear every day. That's one reason conversations sound smooth.
Let me ask you something. Do you still watch cartoons?
Once in a while, not every weekend like I did when I was a kid, but if I find an old favorite, I'll watch an episode.
That's a perfect answer. You didn't say yes or no. You gave a natural answer that tells me you still do it, just not very often.
Now let's compare it with sometimes. If I say I sometimes watch cartoons, people understand me. But if I say I watch cartoons once in a while, it sounds a little more conversational. It's the kind of phrase you'll hear during coffee breaks, family dinners, or phone calls with friends.
I use it all the time when people ask about old hobbies. Someone might ask, "Do you play video games?" My answer is usually, once in a while. That's much closer to how I speak in real life.
Here's another example. Imagine someone asks, "Do you call your grandparents?"
I'd probably say, "I call them once in a while, but I should call them more often."
That answer sounds honest, friendly, and natural. It also tells the listener a little story without using many words.
That's one thing I like about English. Small phrases often carry a lot of meaning.
Let's build your vocabulary while we're here. Our first word is occasionally. It has a meaning that's very close to once in a while. If I say I occasionally drink tea, you understand that I enjoy it, but not every day.
The next word is regularly. This is different. If I exercise regularly, it means exercise is part of my normal life, not something I do only once in a while.
Then we have habit. A habit is something you repeat without thinking much about it. Drinking water every morning can become a habit. Reading before bed can become one too.
Another useful word is frequency. It simply tells us how often something happens. High frequency means often. Low frequency means not very often.
And our last word is routine. Your routine is the pattern of things you usually do every day. Going to work, making breakfast, studying English, or taking an evening walk can all be part of your routine.
That's why once in a while is such a useful expression. It describes the things that don't belong to your regular routine but still happen from time to time. Once you start noticing it, you'll hear native speakers using it everywhere, and before long, it'll become a natural part of your own English too.
Now that we've talked about what once in a while means, let's hear how it sounds in real conversations, because that's where you'll notice it the most.
Good idea. Native speakers don't usually stop and think, "I'm going to use this phrase now." It just comes naturally.
Let's imagine two coworkers talking during a coffee break. I ask, "Do you work from home?"
I'd answer, "Once in a while. Most days I'm in the office, but it's nice to stay home every now and then."
That doesn't sound formal at all. It feels relaxed, like a normal chat between coworkers.
Now imagine someone asks, "Do you stay late at work?" I'd probably say, "Once in a while, but I usually leave on time." That tells people staying late isn't part of my normal schedule.
Here's another situation. You're talking with a family member.
Do you visit your cousins very often?
Once in a while. Everyone's busy these days, so it's hard to meet regularly.
That answer feels warm. You're not giving numbers or dates. You're simply describing your life in a natural way.
Let's switch to hobbies. I'll ask you something.
Go ahead.
Do you paint anymore?
Once in a while, I don't have as much free time as I used to, but I still enjoy it when I can.
That's a great example because people often use this phrase when talking about hobbies they've never completely stopped doing.
Now let's talk about exercise. Someone asks, "Do you go running?"
I could say once in a while, but I usually ride my bike instead.
Notice how usually helps explain what happens most of the time. The two expressions work really well.
They really do. Here's another one. Do you go to the gym?
Rarely. I exercise at home most days.
That's interesting because rarely is a little stronger. It means something happens less often than once in a while.
So if you still do something from time to time, once in a while often sounds friendlier.
Let's go shopping.
I like that idea. Do you shop online?
I once in a while, but I usually prefer going to the store.
That's how many people answer. It's simple and conversational.
Here's another one. Do you buy expensive clothes?
Only once in a while. Most of the time I look for good deals.
That's something I'd probably say too.
Now let's imagine it's the weekend.
My favorite time.
Do you do anything to relax?
I watch old movies once in a while, read a book every now and then, or just sit outside with a cup of tea.
I like that answer because you used another common expression, every now and then. It has almost the same meaning as once in a while, and native speakers use both naturally.
That's one thing you'll notice when listening to real conversations. People don't repeat the same words again and again. They mix expressions to keep their speech interesting.
And none of these phrases sound difficult. They're casual expressions that fit everyday conversations with friends, neighbors, classmates, and coworkers.
Now we'd love to hear from you. What's something you only do once in a while? Tell us in the comments using today's phrase. Reading your answers is a great way to practice, and you might even learn from other English learners too.
The more you use once in a while in real conversations, the more natural it will feel. Before long, you won't have to think about it at all. It'll simply become part of the way you speak English.
We've been using once in a while in short conversations, but here's something interesting. Native speakers also use it when they're telling stories. It helps the listener understand a habit or activity without making the story sound too formal.
That's true. I have a good example from my own life. When I was in college, I played the guitar almost every evening. I wasn't in a band, but I loved sitting by my window, learning new songs, and trying to play them by ear. It was one of my favorite ways to relax after classes.
Do you still play?
Once in a while. I wish I played more often, but life changed. My work keeps me busy and my schedule isn't as flexible as it used to be. The guitar is still in my living room, though. Every few weeks I pick it up, play 2 or 3 songs, and suddenly a lot of old memories come back.
I think many people can relate to that. We all have hobbies that were once a big part of our lives.
I don't feel sad about it. In fact, those moments are special because they remind me why I loved playing in the first place. If I played every single day, it might not feel the same.
That's a lovely way to think about it. Sometimes doing something once in a while makes you appreciate it even more.
I think so. And when I tell that story to friends, I naturally say, I still play the guitar once in a while. I never stop to think about the grammar. It just feels like the right phrase.
My story is a little different. Every now and then, I visit the neighborhood where I grew up. It's changed a lot over the years. Some stores have closed, new buildings have appeared, and even the streets seem a little different.
Do you still recognize everything?
Not everything, but I recognize enough to bring back wonderful memories. There's a small park where my friends and I spent hours after school. Whenever I walk past it, I remember those afternoons as if they happened yesterday.
That sounds like a mini reunion with your childhood.
It really does. And speaking of reunions, I also meet a few old classmates once in a while. We don't see each other regularly because everyone has a busy schedule, but when we finally meet, it feels like no time has passed.
I love that. You don't have to meet people every week to stay connected.
That's right. Sometimes one afternoon together creates enough happy memories to last for months.
Have you noticed something else? When native speakers tell stories, they often say once in a while quite quickly.
They do. Instead of saying every word very clearly, the words flow together. It almost sounds like one long expression.
Listen to these two sentences. I visit my hometown once in a while. That sounds slow and careful. Now listen to this. I visit my hometown once in a while. The words connect smoothly because people are focused on the story, not on each individual word.
The rhythm matters too. Native speakers usually don't give equal stress to every word. The phrase becomes part of the sentence, almost like one small piece of music.
That's why listening is just as important as studying vocabulary. You learn not only what people say, but also how they say it.
Let's review today's new words before we finish. Memories are the experiences you remember from the past. A reunion is when people meet again after a long time apart. A busy schedule means you have many things to do and not much free time.
We also used the word opportunity, which means a chance to do something, and relax, which means to rest and enjoy a peaceful moment.
So the next time someone asks about an old hobby, a favorite place, or friends you don't see very often, try saying, I still do that once in a while. It's simple, natural, and it's the kind of expression you'll hear in real English conversations every day. By now, you've probably noticed that once in a while isn't a difficult phrase. The challenge isn't understanding it. The challenge is using it the way native speakers do. That's where many English learners make small mistakes.
I made one when I first started learning another language, so I know how easy it is. Sometimes we understand the meaning, but we build the sentence in the wrong way.
Let's look at a few examples. I'll let Mike make the mistakes first, and then we'll fix them together.
Challenge accepted. How about this? I once in a while go to the gym.
People would probably understand you, but it doesn't sound very natural. A better sentence is, I go to the gym once in a while. Placing the phrase at the end is the most common pattern in everyday conversation.
Let me try another one. Once in a while, I am eating pizza.
That one sounds strange because of the verb tense. We'd normally say, I eat pizza once in a while. Since you're talking about a habit, the simple present works much better.
Here's another mistake I've heard. I do once in a while shopping.
That's a good example. A native speaker would usually say, I go shopping once in a while, or I shop once in a while. The sentence becomes much smoother.
So even when the phrase is correct, the rest of the grammar still matters.
It certainly does. Good grammar helps your ideas sound clear, but choosing a natural expression also makes a big difference.
Speaking of natural expressions, I have another habit that many learners have.
Let me guess, using sometimes for everything?
You got it. Listen to this. Sometimes I watch movies. Sometimes I cook. Sometimes I visit my grandparents. Sometimes I read before bed.
Every sentence is correct, but after a while it starts to sound repetitive. Native speakers usually mix different expressions instead of repeating the same one over and over.
So I could say, I watch movies once in a while. I cook occasionally. I visit my grandparents every now and then.
That sounds much more like a real conversation. You're saying nearly the same thing, but with more variety. There's another expression I hear quite often, from time to time. Yes, and it's another great choice. If someone says, I work from home from time to time, the meaning is very close to once in a while. It sounds friendly and fits everyday English.
So now we have several useful choices. Once in a while, occasionally, from time to time, and every now and then.
That's right. They all describe something that doesn't happen regularly, but they help your conversations sound more interesting.
There's one more mistake I'd like to mention. Some learners translate directly from their own language.
That's very common. Every language has its own rhythm and word order. If you translate every sentence word for word, the meaning might survive, but the sentence may not sound natural.
Instead of translating, it's better to learn whole expressions.
That's one of the best ways to improve your fluency. You begin to think in English instead of building every sentence piece by piece.
Before we finish, let's review today's vocabulary. The word natural describes English that sounds comfortable to native speakers. An expression is a group of words people commonly use together.
Context means the situation where you use a word or phrase. Grammar is the set of rules that helps us build correct sentences, and fluency is the ability to speak smoothly and confidently without stopping to think about every single word.
Keep listening to real conversations, borrow the expressions you hear, and don't be afraid to replace sometimes with once in a while or one of its natural alternatives. Small changes like these can make your English sound much more confident and much more like the English people use every day.
We've learned what once in a while means and where to use it. Now let's make it sound natural when you speak. Here's something many learners don't notice. Native speakers don't pronounce every word with the same amount of energy.
That's true. If I say, I go hiking once in a while, every word is separate. People will understand me, but it sounds slow and a little robotic.
Now say the same sentence the way you normally would.
I go hiking once in a while.
Did you hear the difference? The words flow together much more smoothly. That's called connected speech. Instead of stopping after every word, your voice keeps moving.
Don't worry if you can't do it right away. It becomes easier every time you listen and repeat.
One thing that also helps is knowing where to put emphasis. Imagine someone asks, "Do you go hiking every weekend?"
I'd answer, no, I go hiking once in a while. My voice naturally gives a little more attention to the phrase because it's the important information.
That's much easier to understand than giving every word equal strength.
Here's another example. Listen to the positive sentence first. I watch documentaries once in a while.
Nice and relaxed.
Now the negative form. I don't watch documentaries once in a while. I usually watch them every weekend.
Or if something almost never happens, you could say, I don't travel once in a while. I hardly ever travel. Both are natural, but they express different ideas.
Let's try a question.
Do you cook at home once in a while?
Yes, especially when I have extra free time.
Notice that the question also sounds smooth. You don't have to rush, but you also don't want long pauses between the words.
That's where rhythm comes in. English has a natural beat. When you listen to native speakers, you'll hear some words become stronger while others become lighter.
So instead of memorizing only grammar rules, listen to real conversations. Copy the rhythm, copy the pauses, copy the feeling.
That's one of the fastest ways to build confidence.
Let's review today's vocabulary. Connected speech means words flow together naturally. Emphasis is giving extra attention to an important word. Stress is making one word or syllable stronger than another. Rhythm is the natural pattern of spoken English, and a conversation is simply people talking together in a relaxed way.
If your goal is fluency, don't just learn words, learn how those words sound when real people use them.
Now, let's put everything together with longer conversations you'll probably have in everyday life.
I'll start with a conversation between coworkers.
Hey, Mike, you've been working really hard this week. Do you ever take a break during the afternoon?
Once in a while, if I've been sitting at my desk for hours, I'll go outside for 10 minutes and get some fresh air.
That's a natural answer because you're talking about something that happens occasionally, not every day.
Now let's imagine two neighbors meeting outside.
Good morning. Do you and your family ever have barbecues in the backyard?
Once in a while, especially when the weather is nice. You should come over next time.
The phrase sounds friendly because neighbors usually have casual conversations, not formal ones.
Here's one between classmates.
Do you study at the library after class?
Once in a while, but I usually study at home because it's quieter.
That's another good example. You're explaining your normal routine while mentioning something you do less often.
Now let's visit a family dinner.
Do you still see your cousins?
Yes, once in a while. We all have busy lives, but we try to catch up whenever we can.
Catch up means spending time talking after not seeing someone for a while.
Let's finish with two friends planning the weekend.
You've been working non-stop. You should treat yourself this weekend.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll watch a movie once in a while instead of working all evening.
Do you have any weekend plans?
Nothing special. I'm hoping for some free time so I can relax.
In all of these conversations, once in a while fits naturally because nobody is giving a speech or explaining grammar. They're simply talking about real life, and that's how native speakers use this expression every day.
The more conversations you hear like these, the easier it becomes to choose the phrase naturally without stopping to think. Soon you'll find yourself saying once in a while the same way native speakers do, and your English will sound more relaxed, more confident, and much more conversational.
We've reached the end of today's conversation, and I hope one thing has become clear. Learning English isn't only about knowing what a phrase means. It's about knowing when people use it and feeling comfortable enough to use it yourself. That's how fluency grows.
You don't become a confident speaker by memorizing long grammar lists. You become one by hearing natural English, noticing useful expressions, and using them again and again in your own conversations.
I couldn't agree more. Think about today's phrase. It's only 4 words, but you've heard it in so many different situations. We used it while talking about work, hobbies, family, shopping, exercise, old friends, and relaxing on the weekend. That's why it's such a valuable expression. You can use it almost anywhere.
Let's do a quick review together. If something is part of your daily life, you probably won't say once in a while. But if you do something occasionally without a regular schedule, this phrase is a great choice.
For example, I eat at that restaurant once in a while. I call my old teacher once in a while. I travel once in a while. Each sentence feels relaxed because you're simply describing your life.
We also compared it with a few similar expressions. You learned occasionally, from time to time, and every now and then. All of them are useful, and you'll hear native speakers use each one in everyday conversations.
We also talked about pronunciation. Remember not to pronounce every word like you're reading from a textbook. Let the words connect naturally. Listen carefully to native speakers and notice their rhythm. The more you copy natural speech, the more confident you'll become.
Another important lesson is not to depend on one word all the time. If every answer begins with sometimes, your English can start to sound repetitive. Try replacing it with once in a while when it fits the situation. It's a small change, but people will notice that your English sounds more natural.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner. Progress comes from speaking, listening, correcting yourself, and trying again. Every conversation is another opportunity to improve.
Before we finish, let's give everyone a fun speaking challenge.
I like this part because it's where the real learning begins. Here's your challenge. Create 3 original sentences using once in a while. Make them about your own life, not ours. Think about your hobbies, your family, your food, your free time, your work, or anything else that's true for you.
Here's an example. I play badminton once in a while. That's simple, but it's personal.
Here's another. I meet my school friends once in a while because we all live in different cities.
And one more. I treat myself to my favorite dessert once in a while after a busy week.
Now it's your turn. Speak your 3 sentences out loud. Don't worry if they aren't perfect. The goal is to get comfortable using the phrase naturally. If you can, repeat them a few times during the day. The more you say them, the easier they'll become.
You can even challenge yourself tomorrow. Try using once in a while in a real conversation with a friend, a classmate, a coworker, or your English teacher. You'll probably discover that it fits more situations than you expected.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. We always enjoy learning English together, and we hope this conversation has given you another expression you can start using with confidence.
Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep speaking. Little by little, conversation by conversation, your English will become more natural. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next episode of Speak English Daily.